All right, what I'm about to show you was the response from the far-right conspiracy theory-pushing media personality Alex Jones last night when he found out that he and his company owed $4.1 million in damages for the impact of the conspiracy theory that he pushed that Sandy Hook was somehow faked.
We are so broke that I'm not even worried about that $4.2 million. I'm worried about our bankruptcy to emergency stabilize InfoWars, and we have a plan. But to do that, we need support. So get a T-shirt, get a book, get a film, get my new book, The Great Reset and the War for the World, get Alex's War, get Body's Ultimate Turmeric Formula, get Vitamin Mineral Fusion, get them all at InfoWarsStore.com and keep us on the air.
That was last night. Alex Jones effectively fundraising off the $4.1 million ruling against him and his company, claiming he's broke, that the company's bankrupt, saying he needs you to buy his diet pills and his T-shirts or he's going to go under. For nearly a decade, Alex Jones pushed a conspiracy theory that the 2012 Sandy Hook massacre was fake. 26 people died, 20 of them first graders. I was there hours after the massacre. I can tell you personally, it was incredibly real. I saw parents before and after they learned of the murder of their children. That $4.1 million last night was part of the damages Jones is now facing for pushing such a disgusting lie. And tonight, Alex Jones' tab got even higher. That same jury in Texas handed Jones another $45.2 million penalty. Yesterday's ruling was on compensatory damages, how much cash Jones owes to the parents of a Sandy Hook victim for the psychological torment and harassment that the conspiracy theory he pushed caused them. Today's ruling was punitive. So how much money Jones owes those same parents as punishment for spreading that conspiracy? And Jones' tab here is cumulative. So all in all, that means about $49 million total. Now, as much as it would be nice to bookend this, to say the ruling's going to definitely teach Mr. Jones his lesson, and there's no way Jones and his companies could pay the $49 million, it's more complicated than that. First of all, if there's one thing we've learned watching this trial, it is that Alex Jones lies a lot. So while his TV network InfoWars has become essentially a fundraising marathon, asking viewers to send them cryptocurrency or sign up for monthly payments or buy their fluoride-free toothpaste, we actually don't have a transparent picture of Jones or his business finances. Other than taking their word for it, we got no way of knowing if that company's actually broke. The other complicating factor is that there is a Texas law that caps punitive judgments. So it isn't exactly clear if that big $49 million judgment will actually be the amount taken out of Jones's bank account. But that big dollar amount still does send a message. It sends a message to Alex Jones and to people like Alex Jones across the country who push dangerous conspiracy theories for profit, that they can and will be held accountable. And this is just the first of 3 damages cases about Sandy Hook that Alex Jones is facing. So whether or not he's actually broke now, he might be soon. Joining us now is Anna Merlan, senior staff writer at Vice, who's been following this trial incredibly closely. Anna, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Let's first talk about this cap. The $44.2 million in punitive damages is eye-popping, especially on top of yesterday's $4.1 million in compensatory damages. But there's a Texas state law that caps punitive damages at twice what the compensatory damages were, plus $750,000. So is Alex Jones going to owe $48 million or $9 million after that cap is taken into account? How do they figure that out?
Right. This is the big topic of discussion today. It's very likely that this case is going to go to the Texas Supreme Court. This is what the plaintiff's attorneys said this afternoon when the ruling was completed, and it's certainly, I think, also what Alex Jones and his lawyers are expecting. They've already objected to the filing of the judgment. So at this point, it is anybody's guess how much Alex Jones and InfoWars parent company, Free Speech Systems, actually end up owing. There's another complicating factor here, too, which is that in the middle of this trial, Free Speech Systems also filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. So there is a real financial mess going on right now as far as what will actually end up being owed.
And there are two financial messes, right? There's the what does he owe as a result of these judgments, and the other one is, as you said, his personal wealth and his companies and the bankruptcy. And the judge admonished him for talking about that because filing for bankruptcy is not the same as actually having bankruptcy protection. Do you have some sense of the picture of Alex Jones's wealth and his companies and what it looks like?
Well, we got a very good picture today in testimony from a forensic economist who testified before the jury went to deliberations. So this was all made very complicated by the fact that Jones and InfoWars did not provide basic financial information in these lawsuits that he's facing in Texas and Connecticut, which is part of what caused him and the company to lose those cases by default. This is why these were damages trials and not actual trials to determine culpability. So, that was part of the issue. But this forensic economist testifying today said that what we think is that the company probably has a net worth of about $130 million on the low end and $270 million on the high end. There have been points in the company's history where Alex Jones is paying himself a salary of about $6 million a year. And this is without taking into account all of his income streams. So we know that InfoWars makes a lot of money from a store that sells supplements, movies, books, other products. But we also know that Jones is making money off of sites like Amazon. And so it is really difficult to get a full financial picture of exactly what he has and exactly where it is, especially with a pretty concerted lack of cooperation from the company.
Does this get better by virtue of the fact that this is just the first of 3 damages cases against Alex Jones by family members of Sandy Hook victims? What do the other 2 cases look like, and can they do more or go further than this one has in trying to get to the bottom of Alex Jones's money and where it is?
Yeah, that's a great question. And unfortunately, it's another sort of murky question right now. So there is another case set to begin in Texas in September. That is Lenny Posner and Veronique De La Rosa. And then 8 other plaintiffs are supposed to be, beginning their trial in Connecticut also in September. But with the bankruptcy filing by Free Speech Systems, it's very unclear what's going to happen in those cases, when they might happen. Jury selection was supposed to begin in the Connecticut case recently, and it obviously did not. So I would think that if these cases do actually end up in a courtroom, that will be a big focus on the part of these attorneys, is trying to create some transparency about where Alex Jones's money is, and to, really examine these claims that he's made repeatedly during the trial, in the courtroom and on air on InfoWars, that he's broke, that he's personally insolvent, that the company is going to have to start laying people off and canceling shows. He's made very specific claims that I think will be subject to examination.
Anna, thanks for your explanations. We appreciate it. Anna Merlan is a senior staff writer at Vice. We appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you.